you going to let this ruin your night? And sitting there thinking, yes, I have. Been there thinking, night? We're just out of the car. My week's gone.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of Premier Period, the podcast about English Premier League soccer. It is an international break this week, so we have got a very special episode. We've got a conversation with what we're calling our International Correspondent, Chris Urquhart. So, we do have a special guest today, Chris Urquhart. I'm going to let Connor lead the combo with Chris, and we'll take it from there. So enjoy the special conversation that we have with us and Chris. Let's take it away, Connor.
All right. So, like Jake said, we do have a special guest this week and our international correspondent. Is that what we'll call us?
The international correspondent. What's that mean?
We're gonna have subtitles on this, right?
So, sorry. That's right. I've got to talk a little slow.
Try to bring out the southern drawl.
There's something that
When I came to teach here, I had no idea where Chris was from. I knew he was not from Alabama, but it did not sound English.
I've had them all. I've had Australian, German was the best one. And I've been called Yankee a few times. So that's means whole.
Oh, yeah. He's from New York. Okay. Correct. But a little bit more about Chris. So we work with Chris, and if you can't tell by his attire, his kit, or what was it?
You have a shot on today.
Yeah, watch your mouth. I'm just kidding. He said that earlier, and I was like, I had to ask him like 3 times, like, what did you say? But he is obviously a Newcastle fan, and so, like many of you hopefully know, I am a Newcastle fan, and he kind of got frustrated with me because he did play a big role in me becoming
The only role.
What? Well, I think yours I played roles in your.
Well, we'll get into that. I'm trying to hype you up right now, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Let's say hype. Yeah, let me
Absolutely.
blow up. Yeah,
a hype man, huh?
Fantastic.
you know health. But Chris did play a very important role in me becoming a Newcastle fan. And so of course like I said, I was looking to get into it, and I was trying to figure out which team to pick. And I think maybe you or someone else had said there's a documentary on Amazon that you can watch, and so I watched that. Well, then of course Chris is a big Newcastle fan, so he'd come in talking about Newcastle, and so I was like, well, at least I'll know I'll have somebody that I can talk Newcastle with. So I'm gonna go with Newcastle, and so I have not regretted it yet. There's still
Happens a lot of times, yeah.
it depends on the week, guys. It depends on the week. Okay.
I mean, I did tell you if you supported Liverpool, you'd never get your room back.
But we're excited to have you on this week, and really
Good to be here, actually.
yeah, really excited to see. Again, the purpose of this podcast is to see or kind of hear like your background, coming from England, how you became a Newcastle fan, things like that. So I think it's going to be a very good episode and alongside.
Yeah, I'm excited to just get a perspective as somebody who's a new fan to the sport, somebody who's been in it for a while, getting perspective from somebody that this is their whole life. We grow up with baseball and football, but this is your bread and butter.
All right, so our first question is for us in the United States. I'm growing up in the United States. I guess specifically those that do follow the Premier League. The Premier League can feel very big, feel huge, global in a sense. But what is it like growing up around it in England, and how different is the culture around football there compared to how we follow it here? And so that's the question. So I guess kind of tell us how you got into it over there. Like what would it kind of look like?
Give us your origin story.
Oh, yeah. So I was born in 1980. I guess it probably started in 1979 when my dad would read me the scores. That's kind of the culture I was brought up on a little bit. It was ever since I can remember. I've been following the game. Whether I was playing it out in the streets or following the Premier League. So the Premier League goes back to about 92, 93, I think. Before then, it was just the first division, second division, third division, fourth division, and so there was a lot of England. The English game was actually under a lot of scrutiny at the time through the hooligans and stuff. A lot of violence and stuff following around.
Can you tell everybody who the hooligans are?
Like the hooligans, all the different terms and stuff.
Yeah.
Each team has the old firm type things where you've got basically supporters that will go around and look for fights against
Right.
other teams' supporters. So in 1985, I think it was, in a European game, there was a huge crowd problem in one of the European finals. I think it was between Liverpool and Juventus, and so one of the stadium actually collapsed because of it, and that was a big disaster.
Yep.
And that actually domino affected English teams being banned from European games for nearly 5 years. I think so, about 1990.
I didn't know that.
Are you talking about Hillsborough?
No, Hillsborough was a different disaster.
Okay.
So Liverpool fans.
So you would have been 5 when that happened. So do you remember that? Like,
It's just one of those you kind of a little bit remember, almost like the Challenger explosion.
yeah.
Kind of those that you kind of, I mean, I'm assuming you'll was good at me.
Why'd you look at me like that?
But just you remember, you are so do. But no, it's one of those that you kind of remember being in the news. But I don't remember it happening. I remember Hillsborough a lot more. Happening in 1989.
Yes.
So so this fandom, explain it to, if you're explaining what the English Premier League fandom as like a kid or just in general is like compared to American sports, how would you compare? Is there a comparison?
Is it like for Americans, or specifically Alabama residents, you're either born into, Alabama Crimson Tide or Auburn Tigers? Is that kind of like that?
Well, depending on what area you're from. See, I was from Berkshire, which is close to London. So Newcastle's obviously way up northeast of England, down the other end. So I was a Newcastle fan because of my grandfather, who was a Geordie, who came from Newcastle.
And again, that's Newcastle fans are called
Joys, yes. So that kind of spiraled down from my dad supporting Newcastle, and then from me supporting Newcastle. So we went to game. I went to my first game when I was about 8 years old, I think it was, and we went to the Dell, which was Southampton's old ground, and so it was a big family event. So lots of cousins and uncles and stuff. We went down there to that game, and I've never experienced anything like it. It's one of those memories that will go with me till the day I die. You walk out onto that, out into that crowd, and we look down on that pitch. It changes you. I've been to an Alabama game. It's nothing close to me, nothing similar. It's just an amazing feeling being part of that. We lost 1-0 on that game, and I think I'm 8 years old, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, we're gonna lose." Guy just got behind me, didn't know who he was. My dad didn't know who he was. Just turns around, slaps me across the face. That's it. I've been on 8 years old. I was just stunned and shocked, and I'm like looking at my dad like, "You gonna do anything?" And so I just said in this Geordie accent, he said, "We don't know talking like that, son."
Yeah.
And so I'm just petrified, and at the same time, sitting there, and you could see a cop. Oh, but and he just go, "You'll have to shut your mouth, are you?" So it's huge family events, and of course, my mum was always worried about me get cold at these games, so she told me to dress up, and so like dress up. I'd come down with 4 pairs of underpants on, 3 purple trousers, 2 tops, and so big old boffle hat, and dressed up to the nines, and then we'd get in the car and we'd go down as a family. Now, we didn't have air conditioning, and that's pretty cold, cars. Yeah. So we're driving down the road, and I'm wearing 14 layers of clothes, and then like the rubble man
waddling.
and that's
What's like a Christmas story?
so yeah, I'm sweating. So by the time we get to the ground, I'm absolutely drenched through, and we picks up, and it gets it a bit cold, and I freeze to death. So did you have enough clothes on? I don't know. I was cold. Probably need more on next time. Yeah, but that was growing up. I'd say if I've lived here 20 years now, just over 20 years, or just at 20 years, and I'd say the one thing I regret and miss about living in England was going to the games. You go to the games with my dad and family events, and getting on the train and heading up the country and going into stadiums. It was a huge part of my 80s and 90s. I lived for Saturdays. And that's one thing that you got over here. You've got the football season that lasts 3 months, 4 months. You know, you start in August and it's over with by January or September even. I don't know how you do it. That's one thing I love so hard. I mean, you know, we're going crazy because it's international break. How do you have 8 months without it?
Well, that's one thing that we've talked about, and I love International League so much because it goes all the way till May.
Yeah, it's the whole seamless school year, so we can talk about it all school.
And then, of course, you have something that goes on during the summer always.
Yeah, it's on a tournament. We have the World Cup coming up around.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. And so, obviously, who are you going for in the World Cup?
Oh, England. Well,
So do you think they'll get group staged?
we made it yesterday. We got into the World Cup yesterday, so I'm still kind of celebrating that. So you know, no Premier League, but they had the World Cup qualifiers. That was good. So we're through the World Cup in America. So yeah, we'll have to follow that through on here. Probably won't be able to watch it in England maybe. Not here or live.
No.
I can confirm that you cannot. We cannot. Let's see what happens with Chris and the words that come out of his mouth whenever an England game takes place.
He had been advised for this pod.
So, kind of going back a little bit, you said so. No, you're good. So you said you've been to an Alabama game as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, how many does Bryant Denny hold? Around like 101.
101,000, I think.
So obviously that stadium can get pretty loud. But how would you compare a U.S. football stadium to an English football stadium? Like just the noise, like what you hear, and like.
I mean, so what I can remember of is it Brian Denny? Yeah, plays that. Yeah. So that was where I went to see. But we played this really good team. I can't remember who, but it was one of these that was never worth watching. Yeah. Kind of went there for the experience. It's very open, isn't it? If I remember right, like you're just there. You're going up the bleachers. There's no kind of backward area. So if you've been to what is it? Atlanta, say Mercedes Stadium. So there's a lot more built up behind that. Yeah. That's so the English stadiums that we go to was a lot kind of similar, smaller version of that. Because I mean, that Mercedes Stadium, yeah, pretty nice.
That's very nice. Yeah.
I think that whole
50,000. And for the Mercedes, you went and watched Newcastle a couple of years ago, right? Yeah. When they came,
yeah, we're doing like the summer tour, summer series. Played Chelsea, 1-1, and Miggy Almiron scored the equaliser for us.
Oh, Miggy. Do you miss Miggy?
I do.
I miss Miggy.
I mean, I miss in his little head just go as he ran up and down the field. Hard worker. I lacked a bit of quality at times, but I mean, you had to love it.
So we're talking about stadium sizes, and you're talking about the noise. So have you been to St. James Park?
Yes, been twice.
All right, so it holds 52,000 people. And if you want to look at this online, you can, but it's not built like an American stadium. No, because you are literally landlocked.
Yeah,
it's St. James. So tell us about like the volume of 52,000.
So I would have been at St. James's Park for the first time in about 92. I think I can't even remember who we played that day. But that was back when we were in the old First Division. That was back when the capacity was probably about 30,000. So that was before that big build up around the Gallagher end and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, being in that crowd, it's certainly different than what it was like in the Alabama as an Alabama fan. Yeah. In the Alabama crowd, you know, it starts off early. You're singing on your way into the stadium. We had park 4 miles away and walk down the streets of around England and go towards the stadium. You always see the floodlights on that would always been pick out.
Yeah.
And you started off 2 or 3 people, and then as the crowds kind of picked up, you'd start singing and chanting a lot more. Non-stop once you're in it. Yeah. So, I mean, if you get good, there was a couple of games where it would be a little bit quiet, but most of the time when you're in there, you've got someone just picking up the crowd. Even in you 1-0 down, 2-0 down, you just every time someone gets on the ball, it's just you just feel the tension rising. It's unbelievable. It really is.
It almost seems like in American sports, it can be a lot more casual. You can be a casual fan of a sport, whereas I mean, maybe talk about that a little bit. Is it, I guess, because it's so ingrained into from birth? It seems like it's more of a this is my lifestyle, not just like.
Yeah.
Is that true, or am I?
No, you're absolutely spot on. Certainly on because I'm not around Newcastle. It was so I'm a different culture to even people up in there. I mean, when you live it, breathe it with everyone around you, everyone supports the same team. Kind of like the World Cup for me. It was like that was the time where you knew everyone supported the same team and you'd all jump up and down on it. One thing I've always kind of looked at with American sports and certainly with college football, and spending Saturday watching Alabama play, and if they lose, everyone's like, I'm so mad now. Can't be. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, what are we going to do now? And it's like, well, wait a minute, we're still rooting. It's one game where I think we got knocked out of the cup. This goes back years ago. This goes back to my wife, and we're out that night, and she's just looking at me like, are you going to let this ruin your night? And sitting there thinking,
Yes, I have.
been there thinking, night? We're just out of the cup. My week's gone. I mean, it surprises me over here how much and how easy people get over it. But really quickly, it's like that they're just mad and they say their piece, and then also they're lost within.
Yeah, they think that in our minds we're like, oh, we're so emotionally attached to this team and this and that, and I live, breathe, and die by this. But then it's like you said, oh, well, what's for dinner tonight? Yeah, and it's like it rolls off the back.
Yeah, but in half an hour of the game being over, it's on to the next thing. And my mum always said that it was me. I was personally just too involved, and she would blame my dad for it. Yes. But I knew we would lose, and I'm stomping upstairs, slamming doors, putting my posters down, sticking them on my dartboard, and throwing darts in that play. And I mean that's beyond a little bit of a tantrum. That's premeditated, just going out there, and so yeah. And I could just hear my mum going, "This is your talking to my dad. You're the reason." That could be that kind of. He had a few little talks to me. He says, "No, you have to stop calming down a little bit." But at the age of 15, 16, it was big because, and another thing that happens is when you actually start looking to win. So at about 95, 96, that's the Kevin Keegan era for Newcastle. All of a sudden, we're out of the first division, we're into the Premier League, we're challenging Man United for the title, and all of a sudden it's like. It's different. It's you built up now. You're expected to win a little bit more. Under before your time as a Newcastle fan, under the mic.
That's not hard. That's only been a couple years.
I've like you almost just got down on it. It's like, oh, here we go, we're losing again.
Yeah.
And but when you're actually fighting for it, I mean, each game's important anyway.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, when you're actually up there at the top, like
there's no playoffs in EPL, so I mean, like every game matters, and that's what I think is the difference between American sports. Is if we can just make the playoffs, you got a chance to win a championship. But in England, it's not that way. So that's not every game is a winner.
Y'all can't stand. You can't stand a draw. The concept of drawing over here is it blows people's minds. And they then are trying to explain to someone, all right, well, you got League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, League Cups are cup games. If you've got a final, they'll go into extra time, possibly penalties, and then in the league you've got 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. Yeah, what?
What's so funny is you say that. Wasn't it like a couple weeks ago there was a NFL game and there was a tie, and I heard like students talking about it, like, how does a game even end in a tie? I'm like, well, you should watch soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows people's minds, and that they don't understand. They can't understand, some people, the concept of having 2, 3 different tournaments going on in one go. And I'm saying, well, it's easy, really.
It really is.
I feel like it's part of like that goes back to the idea of it being ingrained into your life a little bit more. It seems like soccer over across the pond in England and Europe is more, it is an everyday part of life. We don't have that. I can't think of anything in America that we have that's like that. other than maybe like religious things, like we center ourselves around church or religion or something like that, but in a similar way, not to be, hypocrite, what's the word? Yeah, hypocritical or, whatever. Um, but that's kind of what it feels like in other parts of the world. We were saying something earlier about American sports compared to uh, football across the world. Like, as somebody who's from the UK, what is the biggest, what are some of the big misconceptions that you see now that you live in America that people have about soccer?
From the American standpoint.
Yeah, what are things that people get wrong? What are things that irk you when people say things about soccer?
Well, yeah, when
Having the stuff on this podcast, I'll tell you what, half the stuff we talk about, he'll come in the next day like, what are y'all even talking about? Like, I can't do his accent, but he's like, he will give us crap. And I'm like, well, we're new. And he's like, I don't care.
I mean, first of all, I love the fact that soccer has grown so much over the last 20 years. Nowadays, I can walk in dressed as I am now, and people know what I'm doing, know what I'm representing, and will talk to me a little bit about it. You see several students now with the Premier League team shirts on. We've got Liverpool fans out there. We've got Newcastle fans, mainly because I've told him he has to. But
I've seen a Barcelona.
black and white stripes, I'm coming down here nowadays, I'll get recognised that we know what we're talking about. 20 years ago, I'll be dressed like this. We go, hey, Mr. Referee, the bill's down there. And I got chastised for wearing a referee jersey, got my black and white stripes. But so it's great to see the game progress from there. Obviously, going back to the whole idea of ties, it's like, well, why can't you tie in soccer? That doesn't make no sense. And I was like, well, you're talking about sport where you go out there and you play and you win because you can't tie, so we've got to play till someone wins. And then once you've got that result in, your game will go down there and be looked at by a committee and they'll decide how good you do. That drives me up the wall about college football. And then with the Premier League, it's easy. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie. You go into that last game of the season, you know exactly what needs to happen. You're not waiting till Sunday to see if you make the playoffs.
We were talking about with baseball the other day of how the season is so long, but they all save their energy for the playoffs. And so you're watching, yes, baseball lasts 9 months out of the year, but you don't feel like the teams are actually giving their best effort every single game.
It's preseason friendly till the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. And so I feel like with my limited knowledge of what I've been watching with EPL is that at least and feel like everybody is giving 100%, 100% of the time, which makes you as a fan want to be more invested because you're knowing that the team you're following is giving their best effort. And so the question is how does it make you feel? And what are your thoughts when people say that soccer is just too slow?
Yeah, because there's commercials every 2.5 minutes.
That is what I tell my wife every time. I'm like, here, you want to watch American football, and I love American football, but like she loves, I enjoy it. But I'm like, this is so much slower than soccer. It is. Like, now I understand, like, if you don't understand, it can seem slow because you don't understand the buildup, you don't understand the tactics, you understand what's going on. But once you understand that, you know that at any moment something can happen.
Yeah.
And it can be extremely exciting, or it can, like you said, it can ruin your whole week.
Yeah, it can. I mean, but some of the best games that you can watch can finish 0-0.
How is that? To explain that a little bit more, because I have a hard time understanding that sometimes too.
You can have some really exciting games where both teams are just going for it. And that you can see great movement from midfield. These kind of games would be a 20 shots on 20 shots. You can see other games where one team's just going to park the bus and the game's just going to be middle because it is just nothing happening.
So it's almost like, if I'm speaking as somebody who's never watched the sport or something like that before, you're looking at the games almost as much as the process of the game happening, the minute by minute, rather than, I feel like Americans, we are such a results based culture. We want very clear cut. you win or you lose, you get this stat or that stat, but it seems like soccer is a little bit more poetic than it is statistical, if that makes any sense.
You can marvel at defense.
Right.
You can marvel at the possession kept in defense, and the transition from defense to midfield to offense, things like that. So many different styles that you can see. Whether now team is going for possession, where they are literally just trying to possess the ball until an opening starts, or if they're going to go more direct, push the ball forward into areas on first chance, which is a little bit more American style. From coaching, even coaching, because I've coached for 20 years, not 10 years. Coached since '09. I've been a coach. Been from here, I've coached since 2018, but I've coached kids since 2009. And even that concept then for 8-year-olds is ball's got to go forward, ball's got to go forward, ball's got to go forward. They can't understand the idea of passing the ball backwards. It's like, well, why would you even do that? That should be a rule. If you have to pass backwards, you can't ever go back. And you see it a lot in kind of some of these games. It's like, drop the ball back, just drop it back, tuck it in.
The best
Push the field.
I would think like the best, I guess comparison would be like in basketball. If you don't have a shot, put it back up top. And reset. Yep.
I feel like too, going back to I like to get philosophical about things. Sorry to do that every now and then, but America likes to go up and to the right. We like forward progress. We are the American dream of moving up and to the right. Everything's got to be bigger and better, bigger and better. And so it could make sense as a new fan to the sport to go, oh, we don't need to go backwards. We need to be going forward. We need to be doing more. But it's about understanding that process of there's a lot more to the game than just kick the ball straight and put it in the goal.
Oh yeah, it's this because you could admire a lot of players and they'll come a lot of times in midfield. Is that they're kind of you don't notice how good and what job they've kind of done. That transition it's kind of like you hold that midfield, you keep the ball on their end of the field a lot more, and Sean Longstaff was notorious for it, and I was bad at saying your mustache or
So he could. But here's the funniest part. Sorry to interrupt you. Anytime that I was watching a game with Chris and Sean Longstaff was on the field and he had the ball, Chris, yes, he was talking, oh, why is Sean Longstaff doing that? But he was also adding a little extra in there as well. The funniest part is you can look back anytime that Sean Longstaff ever scored the ball or had an assist, just know that about 20 seconds before that, Chris was just dogging him. Like, you were awful. Get off the field.
Jacob Murphy was one, but because he the man of the wall.
Jacob Murphy would do the exact same thing. You guys started talking trash about our players all the time.
I was just going up to them. It's useless. Get him up. Get him off. Useless. Going in the back, but 5 minutes later, all this forgiven.
You're like, that's my guy.
Good number on the back next check.
All right. So geographically, you grew up outside of England, and that is the southeast part of. You grew up outside of London, southeast part of England. So, but Newcastle is the very, very top part of England. Tell us about growing up as a Newcastle supporter outside of London, because you have the 6 or 7 teams as London.
Great question, Ash. Right, so Sandhurst was the town I was in. We didn't have a team that was locally supported. Reading was the closest. They spent a couple of years in the Premier League. But so my friend base was filled with Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, Man United fans, Chelsea fans. They was just spread out across. And that's like one thing I missed was the idea of supporting the team that everyone supported. That's kind of going back what I was saying earlier. So, me and my dad were about the only Newcastle fans that's around here.
Right.
Neither one of my brothers really particularly picked up on football. They didn't care for it too much. Actually, my brother became a Man United fan, but he will later say that he just to annoy me. Because Man United were the team that we were rivaling with at that time when we were going for the Premier League. Blackburn were up there as well. But Man United were the team that always kept kind of like the Liverpool now, sneak one in at the end. The last bit cheeky goal. So that was the year that we lost 15 points to Man United, and they wound up winning it in '96. But so yeah, it was different than had I lived in Newcastle. It was hard. Certainly in the '80s, because we were the Division 2 team at the time before the Premier League had started. You couldn't get a Newcastle jersey anywhere. A Newcastle shirt. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, real quick, while we're talking about jerseys, tell us your first kit that you ever got.
Yeah, so I must have told you this one because it was the grey of Liverpool.
That's right.
You really helped start that bonfire that one night, didn't it, though?
Yeah. Back at primary school, when you'd have the FA Cup out on the front lawn every lunch break. The FA Cup final was always Liverpool, and so I was Ian Rush. That's my name. John Barnes. So Liverpool in that era, I loved. I loved Bruce Grobbelaar in goal. I loved the Barnes, Rush, Beardsley trio up top. Steve McMahon behind them. Steve Nicol in defence. That was a great team to watch at that time. And if I'm honest, it was my friends supporting Liverpool, and I wanted to kind of join the bandwagon on them. And I needed a shirt, and you couldn't get a Newcastle shirt anyway. Newcastle were down in second division, so it didn't matter too bad. But yeah, obviously that hurt my dad's feelings looking forward, and I wish I'd respected the black and white a little bit more. So yeah, that was my early days. That was back in primary school. Then, like I said, we were going to the Newcastle games. Kevin Keegan took over around '92. That was when the beginning of the Entertainers, where Sir John Hall had come in on Newcastle and brought in Kevin Keegan, Terry McDermott, and they really took a team that was headed to the third division. They were going to beat the third tier of the English Football League. Last minute goal against Leicester, last minute own goal against Leicester, so made us kept us safe that year. Following year, we won 10 out of 10 for our first 10 games we won in the second division. That might have been the first division. That might have been when they changed to the Premier League. But regardless, that following year we got promoted, and then from there we went on and were challenging the Premier League title. It was great, but every time we lost, it was walking into school with my head held down. I used to sit there and cry. Saturday night, coming back from the game, said, "I can't go to school Monday, Dad." Yes, you got to own up to it, son. I've got to do it too. I've got to go to work. I think everyone's going to be giving me a hard time as well, because my dad worked in Southampton, close to Southampton at the time. So he had a lot of Saints fans. He had actually got someone to give us some tickets one time to go see Southampton. Only trouble is we were in the Southampton supporters end. I might have been 14, 15 maybe. And so we're down there, the whole way down there, my dad's saying, "Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. Zip up your black and white shirt. Don't show it to anyone. Don't cheer for Newcastle. Don't do anything." So every time I'm sitting there, and I'm good as gold, I'm quiet. I'm behaving myself. They're really good. So I sit there, and you just see him say, "Shh." Newcastle score. And my dad. And 20,000 Southampton supporters suddenly just turned on me and my dad, and it was just like, and I can't say what they say now. It's on my list of things. So they chewed my dad out, and my dad was like, we're neutral, we're just looking for a good game, we just wanted to see some goals. And
Lay it off.
Because I was saying, you're not even supposed to be in here. This is Southampton supporters only. This is not just like one of the neutral ends. This was like the high class Southampton season ticket holders.
Yeah.
So yeah, we shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, detrimental to your health.
So we're 1-0 up,
That's hilarious.
and we stay 1-0 up till the 89th minute, and we lose that game 3-1.
What?
Yeah. So there were 3 last-minute goals, and from that, you talk about Hall of Shame, or I mean, like, and those 20,000 supporters were just. And yeah, I'll always remember that, just saying, I'm behaving, I'm doing really good. Yeah, your dad loses, that just loses it, just goes crazy. And so that was a fun experience.
And I kind of want to have like a little heartfelt moment for a second. So this is really cool to see, because we keep talking about how passionate people who are in Europe are about the Premier League, but like just football in general. But one thing that's always cool to me to see every time that I watch a game with you is that every halftime and at the end of every game that I've ever watched Newcastle with Chris, either he calls or his dad calls him, and they discuss it for at least like 10 minutes or so. It's just so cool to see. Yeah, and I've always thought that's just one of the coolest moments, just to see y'all connect. So, and again, he still lives in England.
Yeah.
Him and your mom still live in England, and just that y'all still can connect through football and be so far apart. Just you being in the United States. So
He can't watch the games, but he can listen to it.
And it's crazy, actually, because, I mean, you'd think in England that you'd be able to see everything.
we were talking about this a couple of days ago.
And I can watch literally any football game around Europe. I think I've got Bundesliga on that I can watch. I've got the Liga. I can see the Serie A games. I can see just about every English game. Now it takes 3 or 4 different packages.
Right.
But I'm set from September to September. Got the international start as well. Some of that I think might have to pay for, but no, I mean, I'm good. My dad gets to see half of them. He's like, well, I can't get the game today. I can't get the game today. He can't get any of the Champions League games.
So what?
And
We are so blessed.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
So what does he do? Does he listen to it on the radio?
Oh yeah, he'll listen to it on the radio. That goes back to one of the things that I was brought up. We had one game on TV a weekend. The rest of it, you're sitting there watching CFAX, just watching the scores come through on a digital note. So if that's what you were doing on a Saturday, instead of watching the game of your choice, you just sitting there the whole time, like watching this screen, waiting for your team to pop up. Oh.
And so that happens, and people are still that like passionate about. That's crazy to think about.
I mean, I've broken a light in my parents lived through before, because just watching that screen come up and then they say Newcastle scored, that's fun, and I've jumped up and I've gone, yeah, and clipped the light to my hand and smashed the light shade.
You're a brand new fan to the sport of soccer, and specifically English Premier League soccer. How do you convince people? How can we convince people to get into this sport?
And the sport itself? Yeah. So my biggest memories are always going back would be World Cup. World Cup's this year. Sell the fact that the World Cup is in America this year and get people watching the World Cup. It's massive. It is played. It's not like the World Series where it's still 2 teams.
So you think that we're in a prime? Are we kind of in a prime spot right now?
Like the perfect era to try and get people to the game itself.
Is that the entry point where most people find themselves into the sport? Is this?
That's actually where I found my entrance into it. That's probably the first few times I watched football was through the World Cup. So I think you're spot on. It's like people that really never watch football. I think the World Cup is a perfect. I really had never thought about this, but I think you're spot on. That is the perfect time to get somebody to watch, because of course in America you're like, hey, USA's playing today. Okay, well I'll watch USA. Now of course we know probably should watch somebody else.
That's what I was.
Because it's like 3 games, 4 games a day, and it's just like one after the other. I can just watch it, and you just get filled up with, all right, what's the next team? What's the next team?
Yeah, World Cup, I like to compare it to March Madness. I mean, you got games, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
5 o'clock, like that all day, and you can watch football.
I mean, all day. So I've talked to several people out here that even last year with the European Cup that people have got into, but it's suddenly people are all of a sudden they're looking at the wall chart and looking to see the schedule and see whose game is next, and then you start watching Kenya versus Turkey or something like that. Just two random teams you don't know anything about, but you just because it's the next game and you're going to put the scores down.
And so does that kind of feed in from there? Would that be kind of the entry point and then pushing English from? I mean, do you think that English Premier League is the best league in the world to watch? And if so, why?
If you say no, I will personally punch you in the face.
Well, then of course it is for me because I mean I've grown up with the different teams. It's definitely
It's the richest.
It's definitely the richest. It's definitely got the pool of where players want to go. What makes Premier League the best is you've got better teams throughout. Bundesliga, you got Bayern Munich, Stuttgart, maybe a year or here and there, but it's basically you've got 2 or 3 teams. In France, you've got Paris Saint-Germain. No one really challenges.
How about to say there's a huge skill gap in other leagues in my opinion.
And La Liga, you got two.
Yeah, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico every now and again. But yeah, so the Premier League has got these 20 teams, and especially this year, you got Sunderland coming up there ahead of Newcastle, and everything's just spiraled around right now. And it's great to see. You know, last year, Man United finishing 15, Tottenham finishing 16.
So let's go off of that topic a little bit. So once you get into the game, what would your advice be to somebody who's trying to find a club to follow besides just follow Newcastle? Because we see what
Well,
that does.
Yeah, I mean, your reason for supporting Liverpool was what you like Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, oh, well,
The-
like I said before, I got into it during the World Cup in 2022. I really thought Van Dijk was just an amazing defender,
Right.
and started following him, and then seeing Klopp, and then Mo and Luis Diaz playing, and
And so that's kind of where you go from that on a lot of these, certainly the younger players there. I mean, you got a lot of people that will wear Ronaldo shirts and Messi shirts, and no matter who they play for, they'll go and they're rooting for one of those two, no matter where they go or whoever they've played. So a lot of the times it will start with, "Hey, let's watch the World Cup," and then I really like this player. Who do they play for?
Yep.
But if you like in Germany, you like in Voldemar, then Newcastle's the team.
Newcastle's the team. I guess here's my side because again, it's the last couple of years I've gotten into it. So of course, how do you get into like which team to pick? So you can use the World Cup, in my opinion. I think that's a great way.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it starts from there. I mean, so Riz, you came a Tottenham fan because you like the crest of the chicken stepping on the bus.
Gareth Bale's man bun is what it was.
Oh, that was it. That was Gareth Bale, wasn't it? Gareth Bale playing for Wales, scoring against England. I mean, I remember that goal. I know exactly what game you're talking about. But that's where it usually starts. Is
Yes.
by watching internationals and liking players and finding the teams they play for, and then saying, "Hey, now the World Cup's over, I want to continue watching them." And Premier League is the best place for that because you've got so many international players. And then you'll watch the World Cup, and then you won't know anything about Haaland, and then you come start watching the Premier League, and then all of a sudden you see the blonde giant running down there with his
Best striker in the world right now.
his
Best striker.
he's the best at what he does. He puts the ball in the back of the net, and that's what I like about him. And he doesn't mess around with too much else going on the field. But when the ball's headed into that goal area, he's wanting to put it away.
Listen, we don't know much about soccer, but we do talk about Holland just about every episode. So I will say this is a Holland positive pod. As we close, I'm gonna play a game real quick, and this is on the spot. So I'm sorry I didn't prepare you for this. Who are your top 5 players in the English Premier League right now?
Top 5 right now.
Like like if we were creating a starting 5, like pretend obviously it's not basketball, but you can only pick 5 players from the English Premier League to put on a let's just say we're having a futsal tournament or something like that. Who's your 5 players that you want out of everybody in the Premier League right now?
Anyone?
Can we take Holland out?
Yeah, you can't have Holland. Cannot have Holland.
Okay.
So I need a goalkeeper. No, I can't go with him. I can't go with Pilkington.
Raya.
How many defenders, how many midfielders, how many forwards? We are
Yeah, let's figure that out first. If we're playing futsal and it's 5 people,
I guess would it be 1-1, 2-1?
Yeah.
All right, so if we're playing futsal, smaller goal, I'm definitely going with dinosaur arms, T-Rex, Jordan Pickford,
Just signed a new contract.
even though he's a magum.
2 defenders.
2 defenders. Let's go with Virgil.
Yes. Best in the world. Don't roll your eyes.
You know, I believe you made me do that.
You know I'm right.
And then I'm gonna put. No, I'm not going Dan Burn. I love him, but
What about
Gabriel?
Yeah, one of the Arsenal defenders. Because I mean, they're
I'm not going with Gabriel. He can't hold himself up. He gets bullied every time he plays.
Pedro Thoro?
I'm going Euro. Euro from Man United. I like him.
wild.
That is
Wild take. But you have talked about it. He is pretty good. But
So midfield wise, Tonali. No doubt, he's like a midfielder in the Premier League right now.
Caicedo's up there.
So I've got
Yeah,
2 more
he
up
up
top.
No, that yeah.
One
Well,
person top.
one forward.
1 forward.
That's not Holland.
That's not Holland.
So I need another midfielder.
No, just one midfielder.
Who did one keeper?
Oh, I've got 1 midfielder right now.
so far we got Pickford, Raya.
No,
No, he said right.
Virgil.
Pickford, Van Dyke, and Manu. Euro.
Euro.
So you need
Euro.
4.
He said midfielder was Tonali.
Tonali.
He says
Tonali.
one striker. That's not Holland.
In the Premier League, not Holland.
Isak.
No, not at all. I think it's going to be good, but I'm not going for it. I think ATK is going to be good.
Yeah,
I'm
he is.
not going to choose him.
TK is great. Which he should be starting over Isak right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going with Chelsea striker.
Yeah, João
Pedro.
Pedro.
I respect
What
that.
about Semenyo?
Yeah, I mean, it's close. Is the I think with certainly with Pedro, with the players that he's got around him, is going to do more than Semenyo. Elliot Anderson would be a choice up in midfield for Forest. Yeah, we're getting him back soon, I believe.
I hope so. The fact that we had to sell him just because of PSR is very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess before we end off, I do have one quick question, so we'll keep it somewhat short. So something that we talked a little bit about, we have a bucket list of one thing that we'd love to do at some point in our life is to go to England and watch a game, no matter who it is, the team that we support. So if someone from the U.S. came to England for Premier League match, so like us, what's something that they have to experience to really understand the football culture there? In your opinion?
So what?
That's too big of a.
If we're going to a Premier League match,
Yeah.
okay, what is something that we have to experience to really understand the football culture there?
Yeah, all right. So you got to with the build up. It is pub before a game.
That's England. That's the culture.
Get yourself in the pub. Get yourself a pie.
A pie.
Yeah.
A meat pie.
Meat pie. Proper meat pie, not a chicken pot pie. Proper steak and ale or steak and kidney or something.
Okay.
Just a real good pie. I think each ground almost has their kind of things. I think,
Before
fucking
game.
Bovril, which basically beef stock in a hot beef stock in a cup of coffee style. Is that a lot of places have got Cornish pasty or a sausage roll or something.
Man, England is really known for their culinary delicacies.
I have not known what half of these things are. I'll have to go back and look them up.
Just tell me about the English breakfast. Just give me that.
Oh, don't get them started on that.
No, they'll take full on it. I mean, proper full English with bacon, sausage, hash browns. Hash browns are not supposed to be on the full English, but I like them. Eggs, mushrooms, tomatoes, black pudding, baked beans.
The black pudding.
Yeah.
And it comes
If you don't know what black pudding
on a
is,
plate.
look it up.
Google it.
Drown it with HB sauce and, a pint of lager at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're set. It's
It's the English culture,
It is.
and we're talking about culture here, baby.
Yeah. So get in with the crowd, get in, start chanting, start singing. Just let the game kind of take over you. And like I said, if you ever get the chance to go to a stadium, you walk up. A lot of them, you've got their restaurants and stuff, or not really a restaurant, but almost like the burger vans and stuff that's on the inside. And then as you walk up the stairs and you start seeing the ground, and then you really get that feel. There is actually, I meant to say this earlier on one of the questions. There is a movie called Fever Pitch. Fever Pitch. And it's got Colin Firth in it. And it's about supporting Arsenal in the 89 season, the 88-89 season. And it's really good. It kind of tells you a little bit about the culture of England, and certainly back in the 80s, because I'm sure it has changed. I mean, I left England in 06, and I'm sure it's different now than what it is then. I did want to go back on one of the things that annoys me or gets to me from the American basis, and I don't know if this is me as a young or an old school kind of person, or if this is it around the world, but I can't stand abbreviations. I know, like, you start talking about EPL, and I didn't even know what you was talking about. Without having a conversation with someone, and I'm saying, what's the EPL? An American thing is that? And it took me ages to realize that the English Premier League, and so what I do,
And you call yourself a fan.
I don't know, but talking to Daly for the first several times I've had conversations with, he was making this donkey noise at me, and I had no idea what he was saying. He was going, "Nyah, nyah," and I'm like, what is that? Nyah. And I realized it's YNWA. You never walk alone. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about.
That's hilarious.
But I know.
Just like I couldn't understand him when I first.
But it was just, he kept texting me this. Nyah. I'm like, is he on about?
That might be not just American. That might be like, and it's social media too, because you have a lot of abbreviations for
I
that.
think he'll say it, and it's still, when people say it nowadays, though, it's like going back to your last podcast, we're talking about Man United and going out on PKs. I hate PKs. I hate that term PKs. It's not PKs. PKs could be anything. I hear PKs, and PKs, have it your way. And I'm thinking, no, shut up, stop. No, it's not PKs, it's penalties. It's penalties.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Here's the segment where he roasted.
It's roast. But me, right? Fun.
Oh, now.
but it's just this, and like I said, people in England might be doing this now. I don't know. It's just me. It's like, you're having a conversation with someone, and I've actually heard people nowadays do this, and they go, ha ha ha, lol. And
I do not. I don't.
I'm thinking, what are you doing?
Is it?
I feel like that goes back to what earlier about the game and the culture of the game of being a poetic thing. In America, we shorthand a lot of things, and we try to make things as getting to the point.
Yeah, simple. How can you be too lazy to say penalties? It's like PKs. We're going to PKs now, and I'm like, just say let's go on the PKs. Those penalties. It's penalties.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, hang on. I kind of want to keep this up just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you have watched or listened to the last two podcasts? Okay. So obviously you have an English mindset of like what we've talked about. So because we've had this conversation, what do we need to do a little bit better if we want to reach, people in England and them not absolutely dog us, other than, of course, the way that we sound.
Oh, I mean, you can't get past the way that you sound.
Exactly.
It's-
So what can we?
You just got to own that.
What do we need to do better?
A bit like, me, if I was doing an American football game, it'd be like, and he's throwing the ball behind his legs, and he throwed it to the quarterback, he's thrown it, and it's hit. Oh, no, especially doing this English accent on it. I was like, so he's hit the ground, and, well, that's the end of that play, and they must have exhausted them, because now the other team's coming on, and they're going to, oh, no, they're not going to kick the ball, they're pretending to kick the ball. And so, I carried that on for a little bit, and y'all would hate me. But
All right, so the original question was, the original better say, okay, run the line.
but if Rude did,
It's fun. It was a fun road to go down. So again,
I don't burst to the British public watching you.
yeah, quickly, don't drag this out.
Another party was say down on this. More in depth on what you're talking about. I think you've covered everything on a vast subject. It's going to be hard because you're introducing yourselves, and you're introducing yourselves as four Americans that are just now getting into the game, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It kind of shows. But we don't feel bad. I mean, I've been in college football watched college football now for 20 years, and I still don't know what I'm talking about. I'm still like pass interference. How was that not pass interference? How was that not pass interference? Yeah. It just takes time, and that sounded me. I didn't hear it.
No,
I didn't mean it that
It
bad.
was true though. But it's just America right there taking offense at everything.
if no one knows who just talked, Ridge has entered the building and is watching behind the scenes. Sir, you're good. You're good.
So
It's true though.
it's the building in. So when you're talking about the games, breaking down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Break down what you think about, because I mean you brought it up the other day about the diving from Chelsea. Build up on that a little bit. Say a little bit more about it, like the instance. Because one thing I can't stand nowadays, and I'll take Urquhart in the Arsenal game, for instance, is big question on whether or not that was a penalty or not.
Yeah.
I'm still mixed up on my mind with that. I mean, a lot of people are saying, how can you be? The only question is, was it a red card or a yellow card? Well, it was never a red card because it was, A, he was going for the ball. They changed that rule 2 or 3 years ago. And B, the ball was moving away from goal. My question is, was it a tackle? Because the only thing I'm absolutely convinced on is Urquhart made a meal out of it. You run into someone like that, your feet aren't going to come over your head. If he's playing on a concrete field or something out on the road or something, he is not going to make that dive. That's true. And so that's the only thing I know for sure is he made a meal out of it. So yeah, break these down a little. But when you're watching these games, just think ahead of time, right? How could I break that instance down? How can I say why Anthony Gordon should have gone off and why he's not kind of playing up to how he's been playing the last few years and things like that. Get them interested on that subject. But also you got to think, who are you trying to appease?
Yeah.
I mean, are you trying to build people in? And like I said, I love the fact that I'm working with 4 guys that like Premier League football. Love it. Never thought that would happen to me when I first moved over here. But again, I was called Hey Mr. Referee for the first 2 years.
We're just trying to. You spoke earlier about how when you would go to school as a kid, you had nobody that was on the same team as you. Now you've got. I know Connor's a Newcastle fan, and Kinnear across the hall.
We watched it absolutely one night last year because at 10 o'clock in the morning against Southampton, I've got 4 friends coming over to watch Newcastle's first game of the season. That's insane, and it is. Well, they were all Newcastle fans.
Oh, one of the cooler moments was whenever, sorry, Daly, but the final of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
Us watching it, and then like you come to talk to me afterwards, like talking about how much it meant, not like me specifically, but like that you could have friends here that support Newcastle and getting to watch that moment because again,
And someone that ordered a Newcastle shirt on their dog. It became my best dog in the world. I mean,
But also, that was a 60-year gold cup drought, right?
yeah. Other than that, I think 60 or so. I think it's 70. First domestic cup in 78 years. I think it was something like that. I've got check my history now. What do you mean?
I was like, he's all. This is the kind that ended all, but he just said that he came into my room. It might have been on Monday or something, but he was giving us crap about. We were talking about Man United and they got put out of the.
I remember I was screaming at a podcast. It was that point. It was like, it's the Licky Carabao Cup.
When we were talking about Grizzly Town, we couldn't remember what what tournament it was, and we couldn't remember the team that beat them. He came in and just absolutely destroyed us. So he's just was just playing it. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
God, you cruise absolutely. I'll try and come on again.
They'll have to do this again.
So
Big carries on and into the World Cup because that'd be fun as well, and you can build it in. Again, I would like feed a game with me. Not on your kids today morning of the game. I might be able to. Ronaldo can't be playing.
Cannot be playing.
Probably can't be playing.
We need like a low stakes game if we're gonna like. You would have done that.
I think I might be able to get over with the in the
It's
first.
gonna be Wolves versus Burnley. This is a pretty terrible game.
well, Chris, thanks so much.
With it,
Yes.
better to be a part of it. Yeah, I'll try and make another one then. Sounds on soon.
Well, my guy, we'll be back with league play.
Yeah, on our next this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, you got a game for the week.
Oh, it's a Derby weekend, man. Liverpool versus United.
All right, this sounds like a great place to put it up. Thanks, guys, for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.